DIY.
One thing that I never forget, I don't even know if you remember this, but speaking specifically to Kendrick, man, you used to tell me, you looked at me right in the eye, Ali. You said, "This nigga don't stop working, bro." And you were like, "Yo, he records nonstop." Can you talk a little bit about how deep that vault really was from that era?
Are you kidding me? And I think I came in. The first project was Training Day, K
Mm,
Dot Training Day. If anybody wants to go up and search it up on YouTube. But again, just when I came into TDE, right, and I've always just wanted to learn. Just that's always just my mantra is just understanding things that I don't understand. And having artists like Absol, J Rock, Schoolboy, K Dot, Kendrick, and they're constantly recording. Those are the times that I was able to really sharpen on my sword, right? Who else has the luxury of having four, competitive, artists, lyricists that, all they want to do themselves is record, right? So the environment was just everybody's just attaining their 10,000 hours, right? And it was literally a moment in time.
mm.
We would spend so much time. I remember just going to that Louisiana right there on Avalon,
No,
right
I know
across from
that.
Soul's Magic Disc,
Yes,
the
sir.
family CD shop. Man, we would just again put $5 together to get some chicken, right? Just so we could eat for the day and just get back to the session. And those are those defining moments, that made all of us great.
Man, I remember I remember specifically coming in some of those studio sessions and seeing a pan of fries, and I'm like, "Oh, they in here working. There's no reason to not be in here working." At what point did it hit you that TDE wasn't just a West Coast movement or a local movement anymore, but something way bigger?
I don't think it was ever a thought about a West Coast movement. I think overall, I think everyone's mission was just to make good music.
Mm,
That's always been the goal. A lot of all of us came from different parts of LA, different backgrounds, different facets of life, and um, you know, it was really like an escape. Like having the house that Top had that had the studio built in the back that he provided for us. It was an escape from everyone's just like problems and like just life that we were kind of navigating in that early time, right? All of us, I just got out of high school, the guys just graduated, everyone's just still in the late teens and early 20s. So it wasn't really a thought about, again, we're going to be the biggest West Coast label, the biggest label in general, right? It was, how do we make the best music? How do we, and I think, the 10,000 hour theory that I speak on so much, you know, I think TD is a result of that with having six individuals, including Soundwave, right?
mhm.
Who all, played their roles, right? Played their roles, and they had a group of individuals that kept them competitive, right? Imagine being an artist, right, and you're going against early Q, early Soundwave, I mean, early Absol, early J Rock, early K Dot, like. It
Yeah,
was a constantly just a rap battle at all times of who's the best, who's better, and it was friendly family competitiveness, right? But imagine what that does to somebody's skill level,
mhm,
and how fast they advance, right? Within their skill levels, and so,
yeah,
I think again, going back to the initial statement, I believe that, those years, right, were really meant, right, to attain those hours needed to become great before the world even heard of who they are,
yeah.
right? And we're seeing the outcome of all that now, right?
Come on.
With where all the artists are, so.
I I tell you from my vantage point, I never had a doubt. I said the way that the work is being done here, and it wasn't like it was a cubicle and it was formal. It was exactly as Kendrick described in Hard Part 6. When I heard that song, the feeling of nostalgia, me just being, I'm just wide eyed looking around like, man, I just know one day the rest of the world gonna know what I'm hearing in here. And it was infectious. Even like, my guy Javante, I remember working with him and then seeing him in an environment, and I saw his work ethic change as
Yeah.
well. But
No, I mean,
I,
just to go off that, I mean, you have when you're surrounded by just like people like that, people that just push you at a constant level. It made me who I am as an engineer, right? If I didn't have 24 hours worth of sessions on a daily basis, right? To be able to sharpen up my skills, right? With Soundwave, having four artists to curate and make beats from the ground up, right? All it's repetition, right? There's no shortcut to success, especially in the music industry, right? There is no get rich quick scheme. There is no overnight success, right? It's all about repetition, consistency, right? And also being a good fucking person, right? At the end of
yeah,
the day, right? But it's an attest, and it's really a testament to Just that formula of like you can't escape the hard work,
Mhm.
and that hard work, I guess they can go back as far as 2005, right? That is not stopping today,
Yeah.
So for anybody that's watching, right, just looking for that quick paycheck, right? It took 15 years for us to get to where we're at, right? And I believe that we're still not done, so it's repetition, consistency, dedication, tenacity, right? I'm writing this book, and it's basically talking about these plugins to success that we've identified based on my journey. And you know no matter what field, if you're in business, venture capital, music, film, right, there's this similar formula, and it's a repetition, consistency, work ethic, discipline, these keys, these plugins to success that we talk about, so.
You also are one of the first people that made me look at engineering, mixing engineering as an art form. And I'll tell you very specifically, I don't remember the song, but you did a technique in which it was on a Kendrick song where he was coming from his regular voice and then it was cross-fading into a pitch. And I'm
Mm,
sitting here, and for the first time, I'm thinking about your hand and the actual music of things. And I'm like, I remember listening to that and be like, wait, we could do that? Almost like it was giving us permission to
yeah.
experiment with the mixing of it. Well, you've mixed some of the biggest albums of our time. What's your process when working with someone like Kendrick versus other artists?
I'm going to that first statement, about, that's what, again, sonically made me who I am, because I didn't come from the backgrounds of the music schools and didn't learn the traditional processes of making sure your snare and vocal dB ratio is this, that, and like,
Mhm.
nah, if it felt good to me, I'm gonna run with it. Right. And, I think that song you're talking about is on Good Kid, Mad City. It was on Mad City, on the MC8 version. Right. And
Yes.
at the end of the song, Kendrick's voice goes from a high pitch and it blends up with a lower pitch, and it constantly just you experience the mix rather than listening to it. And when I learned early on, right, to manipulate things to do that, right, and I'm like, oh damn, that's how I can you know not be somebody behind the scenes and just be a mix. Like, people are going to be like, who the fuck did that? Like what was, like, I'm go back and listen to cartoons and Serial, right, with
One of
featuring
my
Gunplay,
days.
right, and
Yeah.
the sonic landscape and the way that it's, you put headphones on and you can almost just disappear in where everything outside of the lyrics are taking you, right? That's a product of an artist trusting their engineer, right? If
Mhm.
it wasn't for Kendrick being like, yo, just try something crazy, just do something different, right? I'm gonna leave for a few hours, just have fun, right? Me and my ADD would sit there and do 10 different versions of something to try to find something that stood out, right?
Right.
And that's what made me who I am, right? Going into then, my crazy life at YG, and then bringing that same mindset of allowing fans experiencing the song with that artist.
Yeah.
And then the product of that is My Crazy Life, and then Schoolboy Q's album, and then the list goes on, right? And it's a product just going above and beyond. A
Yeah.
lot of people just believe just submitting a up and down clean mix, everything is legible, everything sounds great, cool, it's done. But anybody could do that, right? What are you going to bring to the table? How are you going to stand out amongst now the thousands and millions of other creatives around this world, right? And it's basic shit, man. Whatever you put into anything is what you're gonna get out of it. If you're gonna just give a basic mix just to pass QC and just to get done, right, you're gonna get a basic ass fucking career. If you're gonna go above and beyond and do things you're not even getting paid for, right, that's longevity, that's legacy.
And this is hip hop too. And one thing I appreciate about especially your mixes on the Ab Soul records I produce is that you let my drums breathe.
Mm,
And I feel like a lot of engineers, depending on what genre they come from, sometimes they mix hip hop drums like the rock drums. And it takes all the life, the dirty,
mm.
you do the same thing with you've done the same thing with Tay Beast in that you allow the grit to be the grit, the character to be the character.
DIY.
DIYers, if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit the like button and maybe even consider subscribing. Come on, man. Stop being greedy. Peace.